reactions we're going to look at are reactions of metals with water. And you might think that water is pretty unreactive, so why would a metal react with it? Well, some metals do. And what they produce is a metal hydroxide. A metal hydroxide is an ionic compound that contains a metal cation and one or more hydroxide ions to balance the charge. So hydroxide ions have got the formula OH minus, and so depending on the charge of the cation, there'll be one or more hydroxide ions present in the metal hydroxide. So some examples: sodium hydroxide, which you've probably heard of, NaOH, potassium hydroxide, KOH, magnesium hydroxide, and calcium hydroxide, which both have brackets OH2 to signify that they have two hydroxide ions in those compounds. Okay, so group 1 and group 2 metals react with water, and group 1 metals react explosively with water. If we go and have a look at the periodic table, apart from hydrogen, which is a non-metal, the other elements in group 1 are alkali metals or group 1 metals, and they react explosively with water. And group 2 metals also react with water, but not to the same degree as group 1. So group 1 metals can react explosively. Here we have an example of sodium metal exploding in water. We can see light. We probably hear some fizzing sound. Heat has been, it's a bit hard to see, but you can see that it's actually looking quite hot around there. There's a lot of heat that's given off. So definitely signs of a chemical reaction occurring, and the sodium metal is seen to disappear. What we actually form is sodium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. So water reacts with sodium metal to produce a metal hydroxide and hydrogen gas. So the general reaction type is the water reacts with the reactive metal to produce a metal hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide is an example of that, and the hydrogen gas. And likewise, if we collected the hydrogen gas, we could do the hydrogen pop test to confirm that hydrogen gas has been produced. What we could also do is add some phenolphthalein indicator to the water before we put the metal in. Now, phenolphthalein indicator is colourless at a pH of 7, but it turns a hot pink colour when there's the presence of hydroxide ions. So that's another qualitative test that we can do to show that hydroxide ions are formed. Okay, just like we did with the reactivity series of metals with acids, we can form a reactivity series of metals with water. Now, note here in this table, we've got various metals. We also have hydrogen. Of course, hydrogen is a non-metal. But by including it in this table, we can see that copper, silver and gold aren't as reactive as hydrogen. So we get some sort of relative understanding of how reactive metals are versus non-metals as well. But we can see that the potassium and sodium react violently with water. If you want to, you can have a look at the periodic table of videos, and you can actually have a look at the University of Nottingham, where they put some of the group 1 metals into water and see them explode. And there's a link on this lesson to those videos. So the general reaction for a reactive metal with water, the water reacts with the reactive metal to produce a metal hydroxide and hydrogen gas. That's another formula that you should remember.